To me, Global Reach Out is inspiring.
It's connecting with God, reaching out to the world, and impacting life.
The stories that shared is so personal and it deeply impacted me.
Global Reach Out to me is reach out to the truth.
Connecting hearts, connecting lives. You're listening to Global Reach Out.
Episode 4. The Entrepreneurial Lordship. Every domain of industry has its own set of expertise, skill labels, and services. Each business organization is built according to its core expertise. For a bigger organization, its vision, missions, and objectives and strategies will generally drive the expertise of the leadership to lord over the industrial concern for a bigger market share. For example, International Business Machine Corporation (IBM) and Hewlett-Packard (HP) are famous and strong organizations which offer market-leading computer systems and services to enterprise-sized computer users organizations. These examples are American multinational computer and technology companies with a startup history dated back 1911 and 1939 respectively. In a similar way, through the divine power of an entrepreneurial spirit, God initiated the unprecedented startup of the world according to his prerogative will, by his supreme authority of lordship. He will lord over all of his initiatives of the 6 days creation. Being the first entrepreneur in the universe, he bears full responsibility and accountability by faith that all things shall turn to him in good order and reverence in the counsel of the Trinity. As God is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, his divine entrepreneurship controls the entire world constructions and overrides the need of common good. The Torah tells of the wisdom and love that drove God's divine entrepreneurial process towards the benefits for the man and woman created in his own image. In his holiness and pureness, he is responsible for leading all mankind to the salvation delivered by his word. He lords over and provides all of well-being for his created people and everything else in his creation. Throughout the ancient his story found in Torah, the living entrepreneurial Lord is compassionate and merciful. The working out of his salvation through his word is a core service of his business offering as an entrepreneur. In his power of entrepreneurial lordship, he provides, he chooses, he appoints, and he delegates what and whom he wishes. Adam and Eve were provided with the Garden of Eden to watch over. He chose Noah to lead and restart the human civilizations after sending the great flood to destroy all of the rebellious. He chose Abraham to lead his people to the world to priesthood. He delegated Moses the task of Exodus for redemption. In his glory, his entrepreneurial lordship progresses unceasingly till these days. Biblical philosophy of cleaning. In addition, under his entrepreneurial lordship, God commands the practice of cleaning in his holiness. The commandment of cleaning reflects God's desire for people of means to create opportunities for the poor and marginalized to be productive and contribute to their own well-being. Cleaning creates a type of safety net of livelihood for those who are in need. People in his created image are taught to imitate the providence of grace. In the Old Testament times, the Hebrews were given the law of cleaning to observe diligently. The cleaning law or system in Leviticus placed an obligation on the landowners in the agrarian society to ensure that marginalized people, especially the widows, the orphans, and foreigners, had opportunity to work for a living as well in their community. It was a mandated command instituted by Yahweh, the God of Hebrew, during the Exodus period of Hebrew people. God instituted this command as a social responsibility of each Hebrew people to provide for the needy, thus imitating Yahweh's provisions in the wilderness during the journey of Exodus. In the book of Ruth, the margins of harvest has clearly shown the obligation of the landowner Boaz to provide for the needy. Boaz clearly understood this obligation in this situation and therefore embraced it fully. After hearing about the background and the plight of Ruth and her mother-in-law Naomi from his farm manager, not only did Boaz allow Ruth to gather the margins of the harvest, but his compassion and mercy towards Ruth and Naomi were extraordinary. He told his servants of the harvest field not to mistreat Ruth while she was gathering the margins of the harvest. From God's working in the heart of Boaz, the prophecy of the coming of Christ was fulfilled. God blessed Boaz with the inheritance of genealogical lineage of the heavenly divine Redeemer. In the New Testament, Apostle Paul also strongly emphasized this law of cleaning in 1 Corinthians 9. For it is written in the law of Moses, do not muzzle an ox while it is treading out the grain. Is it about oxen that God is concerned? Surely he said this for us, doesn't he? Yes, this was written for us. Because when the plowman plows and the thresher threshes, they ought to do so in hope of sharing in the harvest. Paul promoted this practice to the Corinthian church, which was then facing a crisis with disunity, lack of compassion, selfishness, and greed among that Christian community. He used the ox and the threshing floor analogy to strike hard into the status divide within the Corinthian church. He reminded the Corinthian church believers of the command and obligations instituted by Yahweh in the Old Testament times, questioning them if they consider themselves as true disciples of Christ. To bring the analogy of the ox and threshing floor in a closer analogy, it's not too much for any employer to provide some snacks and coffee during the break time in the workplace, or farm workers could be given the leftover fruits or vegetables from the packed consignment for export. There is not only no wastage, but this also motivates the employees to serve the business owners much more out of appreciation. In this modern business world, the emphasis of no wastage whatsoever is to maximize company profitability. As a Christian entrepreneur, how can this law of cleaning and no wastage be reconciled? A careful look into the ancient Hebrew culture showed that there was no wastage actually. The needy would simply pick up the remainder margins of the harvest left behind by the landowner's primary harvesters. In the modern business context, the practice of recycling gives rise to employment opportunities as recyclers. The recyclers would pick up the leftover margins, for example, food waste, and turn into the tangible products of fuel for mechanized machines or fertilizer for agricultural cultivation. This results in an economic balance essential in the outworking of God's purpose in this world of entrepreneurship. Therefore, such a law of cleaning should not be disrupted or hijacked by the greedy. Cleaning is classified as an expression of compassion or justice according to the Levitical law, and allowing others to clean on properties is a fruit of holiness and grace because God says, I am the Lord. Therefore, this expression of freedom to clean highlights the distinction between charity and cleaning. In charity, people voluntarily give to others who are in need. This is a good and noble thing to do in the eyes of the public. But it is not what Leviticus is talking about. Cleaning is the process where landowners or entrepreneur for that matter has the obligation to provide the poor and marginalized people with access to the means of making a living in the land of a community society. The law of cleaning cannot be underestimated, as a little economic dynamic can turn into a bigger scale of economic balance. In Luke chapter 13, then Jesus asked, "What is the kingdom of God like? What shall I compare it to? It is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his garden. It grew and became a tree, and the birds of the air perched in its branches." Again, he asked, "What shall I compare the kingdom of God to? It is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into a large amount of flour until it worked all through the dough." This holds a powerful lesson to help guide modern businesses to have solidarity with the poor and marginalized. The research of Bruce Baker, together with his graduate student Rachel Battershell in Social and Sustainable Management at Seattle Pacific University, developed 6 distinctive characteristics. 1. Sustainability for business, profits, market, and society. 2. Experiential links with the poor. 3. Enhancement of human dignity. 4. Disruption of the cycle of poverty. 5. Grace-infused economy. And 6. Revolution of transformational power. After implementation of these characteristics, the employees of the organization will naturally find meaning in their workplace. The wage earners will find their workplace conducive for development not only in their livelihood, but also in their self-esteem. They will discover their own status as co-workers with the entrepreneurs when being so cared for and not shortchanged at all. Therefore, they will be more motivated to gladly serve their masters and hold no grudges. They will be proud to be associated with their workplace or organizations and be committed to long-term employment. With this in place, an organization will surely stay healthy, having local employees to achieve its vision and goals. This in turn will give an impact to the communal society, where the relationship between the organization and employers is courteous and respectful. It is a win-win situation. In the larger perspective, the grace infusion of the cleaning practice may also provide some help in balancing the domestic economy, where everyone has equal share of any production excesses. This results a real transformation of humanitarian society to sharing and caring even in the smallest things. For discussion purpose, let's look at 1. As entrepreneur, do you practice law of cleaning to your low-pay migrant workers? 2. Do you practice the law of cleaning in the office space, like providing coffee and snacks for workers during tea break? 3. How could the law of cleaning be practiced in your company? Thank you. Tune in.
The program is proudly presented by Global Reach Out. We welcome you to share our live enriching webcasts with family and friends through our website, global-reachout.org. Let's reach out to bless more lives together.